Hey, how's it going, everybody? It is 8 degrees today. I mean, it is absolutely frigid outside. I am not outside. I am definitely not fishing. But I figured I'd come in and film a quick video here and show you what I got going on. This is a little trick I started doing, oh gosh, 30 years ago. Probably, at least 30. I've been here almost 20 years. Yeah, then I was doing it at least 10 years before I came here. But we used to take, see this little clip I have here on the end of this swim bait. We used to take swivels at the time and put them on like this. Slide one over the line and just before you tie the hook on. And then put it over the hook. And what happens is, I don't know if you've ever had this, but you ever go to set the hook on a plastic worm and you set it and the worm rides all the way down the hook, balls up down here at the bend of the hook, and you wind up losing the fish. There's nothing more frustrating than that. Well, we started using swivels back in it. Not this swivel. This is a little bit, maybe a little bit too big for this setup, but a swivel similar to this, and putting it there before the clip. It was what we used to do back in the day. You know, you'd use a swivel, and not only would it keep the ball, it will keep the bait from sliding down. It cannot slide down past that crook. There's just no way. And it worked perfectly. Well, it got to the point where I didn't want to use swivels no more. I didn't want something quite that bulky and they rust and everything else. But I want something a little bit smaller. So I came up with a clip that I started making on my own to keep that from happening. And it works out pretty good. It's easy to make. I use like old spinnerbait arms. I got one here. I was going to show you here. Got an old spinnerbait arm here. If you watched my jig, my DIY jig video, the cheap jigs, you'll know this is probably came off one of those. And what I do is I cut them, I throw them in this box here. This is my junk box. And I save them, and then I make things out of this with it. And the spinnerbait arms work really well. These are actually, I want to say they're paperclip, actually. I think these are exactly paperclip. These ones are, yeah, they're paperclip. And the other ones are probably in the box here. But it's kind of a cool little trick. It, like I said, doesn't add a lot of weight if you do it with it like I'm doing here. It keeps the bait from sliding down. You don't get the ball up. The hook penetrates, and it winds up sitting on there like it should, and it doesn't ball up at the bottom of the hook. And if you've ever had that happen once, you know, once the bait has a tendency to do that, it will do that all the time. Once the bait slides down that one time, it seems like it's ripped to the point where it's going to slide down all the time. So this will keep that from happening. It will get you more uses out of your baits. You'll find out that instead of throwing it one time, you can throw it, you know, multiple times. You know, you can catch multiple fish on it before it really tears the fish up, tears the lure up. What it really works good on, I'll tell you, one of the real reasons why I'm showing it to you now is because of any of the Berkeley Gulp stuff. If you have a problem with it sliding down a hook, like if you use the flukes, last summer I used the Gulp flukes, and I found out they slid down really bad. So I instantly put one of these on, and it worked perfectly. And it's really good for that, because Berkeley Gulps, they're horrible when it comes to durability. They really are they design them things to be a one fish use and thrown away. But this will save you on that if you do that. If you use them flukes like I do for topwater, it's a good way of doing it. It works with regular flukes. It will add a little weight up front, which is good because it will start, you know, you go jerk, jerk, jerk on them if you're using this topwater. I use mine that's like topwater. This would be a topwater setup for me. I'd give it a couple jerks and let it sit, and it would just slowly sink nose first. I mean, it just kind of dives down nose first, just ever so slowly. If you have the swivel on it, it dives down a little faster. But it definitely gives it just a touch of weight if you're looking for it. The clip's not so much. The swivel definitely will. Swivel will be just, I mean, not much. It's less than a split shot. But it's really a good setup here. If you haven't tried this yet, they're easy to make. I'm not telling you that I invented these. Probably I learned it from, I think I learned the swivel one from a friend years ago. I didn't figure it out on my own. But he showed it to me when we were bass fishing once, when we were having that issue. So we used to use straight hooks. That used to be the main thing. And they slid down no matter what. There's nothing you could do on those. But when the worm hooks came in, this is a great example of it. This is a true turn hook. It's got the kink in it. Man, it just seems like they would slide down and ball up here on these hooks. And, you'd just be mad as hell because you'd lose a nice fish on it. And all you'd have is a beat up worm for the effort. So, like I said, we started using the swivels here, and they worked out really good for the years. But then, you know, we came up with our own clips, started making them out of paper clips here. And realistically, to make them, you don't really need all that much. You need a couple tools. One's like the wire bending tool, which is that there. Where's my wire cutters at? And that's a cheap one. I would get a better one. You can order them up on Amazon. When I get this video done, I'll show you how to do it. Which ones I would order. But these are cheap ones. These are like from Michaels or something. But they work for small wire, and they're good for bending loops in and stuff like that. You need that. And you need a pair of cutters. And I use these. These are cheap, quick and easy. If you have big ones, use big ones. These are good for getting up close. I can get in close and snap them. Especially when I'm making multiple wraps. But yeah, it's an easy, quick and easy is what I meant to say. Quick and easy setup to keep you from losing a lot of baits, a lot of teardowns, a lot of ball ups at the end of the hook. And it's cheap. Like I said, if you got paper clips, they'll work. And like I said, when you pull it tight, it doesn't look like much now, but you cannot pull the worm down. When you have this line tight and the fish sets and you set it, it will not pull that bait down at all. You cannot get that bait to slide down. You will rip it off the hook before it will slide down. And it works exactly what it's meant to do. So if you've never tried it, give it a shot, see what you think. If you've done this before, you're probably old school. I guarantee you're someone not of, you're over the age of 25, 30. If you've done this, it's an old trick. But it's definitely one to have in your tackle box. Like I said, it will save some baits. If you're using Gulp's perfect for this. If you use the Gulp flukes, even the grubs, if you're rigging them Texas, that's the setup right there. That works perfectly for it. And it does. It doesn't impede the action of the bait. It'll save you some plastics or save you some Gulps, and you'll be less frustrated because the bait won't be balled up at the end of the hook. And the first time you do it and it works, you'll be like, I don't know why I never did this before. Anyway, there you go. Tell me what you think. Talk to you later.